Greetings, currently in Geneva, Switzerland at the third permanent forum, or the third session of the permanent forum for people of African descent with one of the co-chairs of the International Civil Society Working Group for the permanent forum, the Dr. Amara Enyia. One, thank you for your time. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, actually.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Likewise.
The question I have for you of the many, I'm just going to try to be specific here. What are your thoughts on this third session of the permanent forum, being that it has been, I believe, about 18 months of work since the establishment of the forum, as well as the work that went into starting it?
Well, there's definitely been an evolution, I think growth, since the first session, which was December 2022, when the launch. And what I'm excited about is to see how the space has evolved and how it's grown. And that's largely, I think, because of the organizing and the advocacy work of civil society. So as chair of the Civil Society Working Group, I've seen from the very beginning, both in the establishment of the forum itself and the advocacy that it took to get the resolution passed, and to make sure that it actually reflects what people envisioned when they were calling for the establishment of a permanent forum. And that's going back to the Durban Declaration and Program of Action. It's going back to the International Decade for People of African Descent. And so what we've seen is each forum subsequently comes closer and closer to the vision that we had. And so that's been encouraging to see.
I agree. So my last question for you is, being that we have, I think, the most youth delegates of all three sessions, what are your thoughts on the youth members and representation here at the forum, and why is it important for young people to be involved, young people of African descent to be involved and interested in human rights?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we've been supporting, the International Civil Society Working Group has been supporting strongly our youth subcommittee to, one, for the organizing and getting youth involved in the permanent forum, but two, we're actually supporting this effort to make an amendment to the modalities to account for youth representation on the permanent forum in an institutionalized way. And we think that that's important because obviously it's young people, it's us, and then it's youth, but those are the ones that we want to carry the mantle forward. And that's really who we're doing all of this work for, essentially. And so there were some initial proposals around just having representation. My intervention was that it should be formalized and it should be institutionalized. And so we should have that representation on the forum as and integrated into the forum, because that perspective is absolutely critical. And yeah, it's just something that should happen. So we've been supporting that. I think we're going to introduce there's a declaration that the youth have drafted that they're going to hopefully get to read on the floor. And then in our recommendations as a working group, we're going to be submitting that alongside all of the other recommendations that we have for the mechanism. So it's exciting.
One, it's a lot of work, and two, again, thank you for all that you do in your time. I see that the youth subcommittee again is just as busy as its leadership, and again, I think that this is good things, and there's so many reasons why people of African descent should pay attention to the permanent forum for people of African descent at the United Nations. Once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.